Ladies that are with them, please.
I'm Erin Bechtel. And I'm Tara Rosetto.
Welcome. Okay, young lady, carry on.
Hi, we are Girl Scout Troop 401. We are 3rd and 4th graders, and we have been a troop for 4 years. We meet at River Valley Elementary. We did a take action project as part of a badge requirement. We brainstormed different problems in our community and how we could help fix the problem. This is the issue we voted on. We have several Girl Scouts in 2 neighborhoods next to each other, here and here. But there is no safe way to bike across McMillan between neighborhoods. It is a half-mile out of the way to find a crosswalk to cross safely. We have come up with 2 solutions. Option 1 would be to create a crosswalk near Hunter Elementary and then to extend the paved sidewalk on the north side of McMillan. So here's Hunter Elementary, and then here we want a crosswalk, and over here we want a sidewalk. Option 2 would be to make a crosswalk across McMillan from Goddard Creekway, and then build a pedestrian bridge over the canal on the south side of McMillan to join with the existing sidewalk. Here's Goddard Creekway, and this is where we do our crosswalk, and then this is the pedestrian bridge over the canal.
Okay.
We think this is an important project for our community because it will make it safer for bike and people walking. It will also encourage people to walk and bike more, which is better for the environment. Does anybody have questions?
As the young lady said, do any of the commissioners have any questions at this point? Miranda, if I might ask, has this moved to either the school district and or the ACHD, this question?
No, Mr. Chair.
And that would be up to this commission to,
If the troop is asking for us to take action, then that would be where we would determine if we were going to send something to ACHD or just engage in a conversation with the school district.
okay. Ladies, thank you very much. I'm not dismissing you. You're fine. Stay right where you are. Thank you very much. Well done. And don't let this be the last time you go to a public meeting and speak about something. You've got a long life ahead of you, and there will be times when there will be other things, whether it's sidewalks, crossings, or you can't even think of it yet, where you should go be heard. So let me encourage you to do that. I drove by there this afternoon coming to the meeting and took a look at it. And it's not just the Girl Scouts that have this problem. There's no real safe, easy way for students or parents that want to walk, students or Girl Scouts, to get across Macmillan from the north residential areas to the school and residential areas on the south side. We do not, as a commission of the city of Meridian, we do not build crosswalks. We don't build sidewalks. We rely upon the Ada County Highway District to do those types of things in most cases, but we do have the ability to tell them about problems and to ask them to take a look at it and to come back to us with proposals, and whether or not they'll be able to find the funds to build it. So as much as we can hear today what you're having to say, we're not going to have this done tomorrow. So you need to be patient and give us a chance to work on it. Commissioners, comments?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Bowder.
ladies, echo Mr. Steed's comment. I appreciate you addressing us and standing up That took some courage, but very well done. Two comments, Mr. Steve.
Yes, sir.
Is this a project that Mr. Lancaster Stroke would look at on school crossings, or is that outside of his scope?
I don't think it's outside of his scope, and they could certainly do that. We could run it through them first, if that's what you would propose.
Well, that and want to first to get his recommendation, or do we ask ACHD, I don't know the right term, in their crosswalk? I'm assuming they have a committee, if we can advance it to that. So I think there's two options.
There are, and we may be able to run them parallel. I see you. Other commissioners' comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Sean Martin's on the
Yes.
Zoom. We could see if ACHD's looked at that at all.
Sean, can we put you on the spot? I presume you heard the young ladies. Any comments?
Yes, I heard the presentation. This project has been identified as part of our North Meridian neighborhood plan, and it has been scoped. I don't know that it is currently in our 5-year work plan. As Miranda said in the beginning, we're currently updating our 5-year work plan. So it's premature to say if this project will land in the 5-year work plan, but it is part of the North Meridian neighborhood plan, as I mentioned.
And would you recommend that the commission refer directly to ACHD, or should we go through our subcommittee and let them do a little more legwork on it? Or do you have an opinion?
No, I don't think it needs to go to the subcommittee. I would look to see if Meridian has this crossing already identified as one of their priorities that you guys submitted earlier this year. If it wasn't in that priority that you submitted earlier this year, I would make sure you make note of it so that you could include it next year.
So it sounds like we will just have, I believe Jared Smith is the chair of the prioritization subcommittee. So
That's
we
correct.
will hand this to that subcommittee and ask them to take it into consideration when they are reviewing those projects that we have and what order we are prioritizing them at. So thank you, ladies, for giving us this input so we can take it under advisement.
Okay, again, we're not going to do this tomorrow, but we've heard you. We're not going to forget about it. We will follow up on it and see if we can't get something done for you. And thank you so much for coming.
Mr.
Any
Chair.
other commissioners' comments?
Mr. Chair, Caleb Hood has his hand up on Zoom.
Councilmember Hood.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to circle back. I
I'm
think
sorry,
you guys
Kate.
are on the right track. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say this project as currently defined, which is listed, described as McMillan Road, 10 mile to Linder, includes a crossing there between Goddard Creek Way and Wild Goose Way to be designed in 2024 in the draft integrated 5-year work plan. As Mr. Martin and Ms. Carson said, that hasn't been adopted yet by the ACHD Commission, but at least in its current draft form, it's planned for design in 2024. And it's number 7 on our current list of priorities. So that subcommittee can look at that again, but it is currently listed as a need and is in the top 10 for the city.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioners, anything else? You may.
If I get your notes right, this project, is that one of the badges? Did I get this wrong? What is your recognition within?
The Take Action Project.
Okay, and within your group, you're recognized how?
So the girls earn merit badges for different things. We did a series of badges. some of these badges right here. The top one is a Take Action project. So we
Great.
identified items of our personal, within our troop, within our community. And this is the bigger identify issues in the community and let our voices be heard to introduce them to government. And then they'll also be earning a government badge.
Excellent. Again, thank you for coming before us and voicing your concerns. And as you have seen, Mr. Steed has outlined a course of action for us to pursue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay and watch the rest of this if you wish, but you will not hurt our feelings if you don't. So thank you. Okay. Okay, Ms. Carson, we have a plan for that one. Thank you. Okay, moving along. Is Lieutenant Frazier with us yet?
It looks like Lieutenant Frazier is not here yet.
Okay, we will just pass over him and come back to him when he does arrive. Staff communications, back to Ms. Carson.
All right, so I can promise I will not be as entertaining as those lovely Girl Scout ladies.
Well, you probably went before somebody sometime in a Girl Scout uniform and did the same thing, so.
All right, so staff communications begins on page 16, and I'll highlight a few items in that document. Black Cat at Gondola, there was a request for a crosswalk. The new Pleasant View Elementary School there across from Black Cat has students walking now or parents wishing for students to walk. Kendall Kimmer at ACHD confirmed that West Ada does have a plan to extend the walk zone for Pleasant View, which will include designing and constructing that crosswalk as well as 20-mile-per-hour speed zone. The school district is in the process of choosing a consultant for that design work, and ACHD is working with them on that process.
Okay.
I think I'm going to skip the second one in case Lieutenant Frazier gets here, and then I'll come back to it. On page 17, Meridian City Council and the ACHD Commission had their joint meeting that I had mentioned in the August meeting. On September 20th, you can watch the full meeting there at the link. To summarize that, the discussion topics were the multi-use pathways for bike and pedestrians. Gary Inselman presented on ACHD's decision to start using those multi-use pathways and also covered the decision to recess the pathway crossings in some location. There was a lot of discussion on that item. City Council and the mayor had questions regarding the safety of those recessed crossings. And then also there was discussion regarding the consistency throughout the Meridian city area of crossings, having some crossings pull back and some crossings up at the local street. And there was some urging by the council and the mayor to have some consistency through our city. So at this point, ACHD Commission said they do plan to move forward with multi-use pathways for bikes and pedestrians, and they will continue to do recessed crossings where they see it necessary. There was also discussion regarding the 2022 legislative coordination. House Bill 389 was discussed, and there was good discussion there regarding the city council and ACHD presenting a united front when requesting support for more local options of funding. There was also discussion for a needed dedicated source for transit, fuel tax options, and the possible sunsetting of safe routes to school funding. Lastly, ITD Highway 16 was discussed, with Highway 16 coming in, as I mentioned during the project's updates. It's going to put pressure, understandably, on the local network. ACHD has recognized that, as well as the growth in the Fields area, which is the 4 blocks surrounding where Oahe High School is. So everything west of Black Cat there. So those 4 blocks of the city are called the Fields area. With that area continuing to grow, ACHD may be advancing some of the projects that were in that area that previously had been listed as future or further out on that integrated 5-year work plan. So we don't have a lot of details on that just yet. It was just wanted to let us know that those projects will be advanced. I wanted to congratulate Joseph Lecky on his reappointment as the Youth Commissioner to the Transportation Commission. There was also some conversation regarding the Chinden project. I already covered the ID 16 update during the project's updates, but this was a good email that really gave a lot of information. So I wanted to put it in the staff communications as well. There was a citizen request for transit. There was a little bit of movement on the Deer Crest restricted parking request that we had heard of. I believe it was in July when this issue first came forward. It may have been June. Mr. Peters was not able to obtain the required signatures needed for the petition for the time restricted parking on Deer Crest. I did inform him of the applicable parking code in that area and the enforcement process if the current code is violated. So at this point, that issue I would consider closed unless he's able to obtain those signatures later. On page 20, the master street map update came from ACHD and they requested comments from the city. So there, I'm not going to go through all of those comments, but you're welcome to look through those, send me any questions you have. I can answer any questions you have today regarding comments on the master street map. I did not include the entire master street map in the packet. I only included the pages that we made comments on. And lastly, in the packet is the Keeping Up with Compass newsletter that is included because there are some good transportation items in there for the commission. Do not see Lieutenant Frazier, so I'm going to go ahead and speak to the Compass traffic issue, and he may have something to add. So the city has received a couple citizen comments. I believe we've received just 2 citizen comments this far regarding traffic concerns on Black Cat between Pine and Franklin. That's where the new Compass Charter School is. They're off of Black Cat on the east side of Black Cat, south of the railroad tracks. There's some traffic concerns in the morning during arrival and during afternoon dismissal. Lieutenant Harper at the police department worked with the traffic team, and that traffic team has worked with the school to put out messaging to the parents to enter and exit from specific directions to try to minimize those problems. There has also been more traffic than was initially expected because of busing shortages this year. Largely, that's an impact of COVID, I'm sure. There in the packet, it does have an update from ACHD from Kendall Kimmer that they would be looking into designing a southbound left turn lane on Black Cat. We received an update late last week that design process will not start as we initially had thought. Rather, the design for the left turn lane will be done with the expansion of Black Cat as a part of the regular integrated 5-year work plan process. So that's just something I would say for the prioritization group to take into consideration when looking at the priorities and determining if the Black Cat segment needs to move up or down on the list regarding the feedback that we've received on traffic and students walking. So that is all the updates I have on staff communications. At this time, I can stand for any questions.
Ms. Carson, you mentioned 2 complaints. I only see 1 email from Mr. Block to Councilmember Kavanagh. Was there a second one we didn't see?
I believe a second one was sent to the police department directly that I didn't have.
Okay. This was in your in the packet, and I'm going to take the opportunity to read it because it does do a good job of defining Mr. Block's concerns. And then I understand Councilmember Kavanagh wants to speak to this as well. The original email from September 22 to the council member started with, quote, "Good day. I don't know if you have had the opportunity to drive in the area of Compass Charter School during drop-off or pickup times. If not, then you should. The access to the school from Franklin is only via the westbound lanes. The access from Black Cat is from both the north and southbound. However, there is no dedicated turn lane from either direction. Traffic gets backed up in all directions and is causing undue delays. ACHD says that it is private property and they have no jurisdiction. Compass School says the traffic is due to them not having enough bus drivers, resulting in more parents driving their kids to school. Was there no contingency for traffic flow when planning and zoning approved this and the Hubble Townhouse development, which parenthetically is immediately to the north of Compass on Black Cat, is open next to the school? The Hubble development is not open yet. When it is finished, there'll be even more traffic. He says, I'm not really sure who to turn to next, but there has to be a solution. Perhaps for a temporary fix, the school to hire a planner to analyze the traffic flow and see if there's a better solution. I look forward to hearing from you. Well, Mr. Block got a fair amount of activity from that email. Councilmember Cavanagh passed it on to the mayor. Between the two of them, it went to the police department. I believe ACHD has been contacted. I know SRO officers have been parked out there watching traffic flow because I've joined them. I've been out there for 2 morning openings and 2 afternoon closings. So I've watched what I could see of it, but council member, you have the floor, sir.
Oh, thank you, Chairman Steed, members of the commission. I think you did a very good job of summarizing the feedback from that citizen. And I had forwarded the email on the chairman, I think, because the citizen, at least at one point, had some desire to address this commission and ask for guidance and assistance. Some of the things maybe Chairman Steed will share is, and this is probably not going to come as a surprise to any of you, is that this is an issue that we're seeing at a lot of our schools right now. I also think it's important to note, I shared this with Mr. Beck, but I'll share it all with you, is the Cavanagh family is part of the problem at Compass. Our youngest is a kindergarten student, and Chairman Steed hit the nail on the head. That school has really struggled to hire bus drivers. And so we are contributing to this problem. And I shared that with that citizen as well. I know the school's working to try and get some bus drivers hired on, which would help alleviate some of that. I've shared that with the citizen. But nevertheless, I think that it's a good opportunity, at least for this commission, to be aware that while we're talking about a issue that's being presented at Compass, that this is happening at elementary, middle school, and high schools across the valley. We live in South Meridian, and I can tell you that Locust Grove backs up from Mountain View all the way to Victory on mornings. My oldest goes to Renaissance, and Progress backs up on both sides to Water Tower and to Locust Grove as well. And as someone who grew up in Old Town, I can share with you how 8th Street would back up at Meridian Middle School. I mean, more parents are driving their kids to school than ever before. I think the added challenges with bus shortages have only exacerbated that. So I think Chairman did a good job of summarizing at least the feedback from the citizen. I think the city has responded in kind, but I don't know if this is a issue that this commission wants to take up either singularly about Compass or more unilaterally about some of the challenges that our schools and our streets and roads are facing as a result of an increase in parents transporting their students.
Thank you, council member. I concur with the council member that this is a school morning and evening or afternoon problem everywhere. I have seen it since I was in elementary school, which was a day or two ago. It happens all over the country, if not the world. That doesn't mean that we should turn a blind eye to it or ignore people that are commenting on it or people that are attempting to find solutions to alleviate it. I do know that there are certain streets in Meridian that when it's in the afternoon, I look at my watch and I see what time it is, and it helps me decide which route to take to get somewhere. There's certain streets you just try to stay away from because you've gotten caught in them before and you just try not to. Specifically regarding Compass, I have gone down there and parked and watched. And I don't really agree with Mr. Block's original comment that traffic gets backed up in all directions and causing undue delays. It looked like to me it was flowing relatively well. There are a couple of things that cause concern. Ms. Carson went out and watched some of this, I understand, and saw some of the same things I did. Anyone from that school trying to walk north up Black Cat or could come south in the morning maybe, encounters a railroad crossing and a creek crossing, neither of which have a sidewalk, and it's problematic about getting across those. There's a new sidewalk to the north by this Hubble development they're talking about that takes people up to that, but after that, it's kind of a catch as catch can on your own, clamber over the railroad tracks. So that is one thing that needs to stay on the radar for ACHD or others or whoever is involved in improving that street in the future. One other thing I saw that I haven't talked to anybody about is the large number of parents that are lining up both in the morning and in the afternoon to drop their students off or to pick them up. And they seem to be doing a really good job on the campus, on the property, because the administration is working with those drivers to route them through. They put cones out. They have a pattern they use so that they can unload or pick up children. But they do line up on Black Cat in the bicycle lane on the northbound side immediately north of Franklin. And there's a long line of them. I never could catch them backing around onto Franklin, but that doesn't mean they don't. But it is an orderly line. They stay way over as far to the right as they can and stay out of the ditch, but they're still blocking and in that bicycle lane. I would like to see ACHD not only to work on and look at a turn lane southbound on Black Cat, but also whether or not they could do some restriping along Black Cat south of the school's north entrance and give those cars a place to line up to do that pickup or drop off maneuver that they've worked out. I don't know for sure, but I don't believe that every school bus Compass has access to having a driver will totally do away with that problem. There will still be parents that wish to drive their children or the children wish to be driven. It's a problem at every school in the country. I think we know that. Here's one's been brought to our attention. I'm impressed with the way that the city has reacted to this gentleman's point. I believe it's something that he runs into when he commutes to or from work, I'm guessing. He lives north of the school, possibly works south of the school or back trying to get to the interstate. Commissioners, anybody else have any comments or thoughts? Okay, Ms. Carson, how do we keep this as a follow-up with ACHD? And also I'd like to get to them the questions that I've raised about the line of cars dropping and picking up children along Black Cat.
So at this point, ACHD has said that this item will be in process with the integrated 5-year work plan. So we would, if you have specific requests regarding how we want the project to look, then we have a little bit of room in our request form when we submit our priorities to put in a description. So Transportation Commission can recommend some things in that description before it's sent to City Council to have City Council approve or rearrange or however, whatever action they determine to take before it's sent to ACHD. Then there's also room when the comments come out for public comments. At this point, ACHD has said, though, that this will just be part of the regular integrated 5-year work plan process. As far as updates to the conversation going forward, this issue isn't closed right now. So I will bring any more communications on it to the next meeting in the staff communications document.
Okay, and I'm not proposing a solution to that line of cars on Black Cat on the northbound side. I'm just wanting to make that part of the concern and not just have them look at the southbound left turn lane on Black Cat.
And I believe they'll be looking at the full design. That's why they decided to wait to do the southbound, from my understanding, because they want to do the whole design at once.
Okay. Commissioners, any other thoughts, comments? We will keep this on our radar. Has the good lieutenant found us?
Does not appear that he has arrived yet.
Well,
I do not have updates for his items.
Okay.
I can tell you that I can ask him to do a summary of the updates and send them out. I know that he had planned to give some updates regarding the ATV, UTV bill. We also have, Councilman Kavanagh here that can speak firsthand to what action City Council decided to take. I hate to put him on the spot, but
I'd rather you do it than me. With that said, council member, would you like to tell us what's occurred with the city council and the commission's recommendation regarding the ATV, UTV ordinance? I understand y'all took some action, but left other on the table.
Mr. Chairman, recognizing that I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning.
Fair enough.
As I recall, the council took this up 6 or 7 weeks ago. And I think the action was largely no action. Is probably the best way to put it. I don't think that the door is closed on this, but I don't think that there's necessarily a lot of excitement from the council to take this issue up, at least in favor of it, I guess is what I should say. I don't think that the council is opposed to it, but I also feel that I think that if there was enough support on the council to pass it, then you would see maybe a little bit more acceleration in getting it before us.
the one action I believe council did take was to allow golf carts. Is that correct? On all streets in the city of Meridian?
Correct. So
All- Not arterials, but all local and collective.
But that was a change that was made.
we passed that ordinance change 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I think was effective upon signature of the mayor. So that's
Okay.
law, I believe, as of now, but no other changes were brought forth or passed.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. This was not an item that was originated with the commission. It came from the police department through us, which we appreciated. And we appreciate the update. If you would, and I'll just make the comment that Sergeant Frazier has been promoted to lieutenant, we're told. I was looking forward to congratulate him, but when you see him, you can tell him. And we'll ask the lieutenant to email us anything that was going to be in his report that was pertinent. Okay? All right. That finishes our active agenda. The other last couple of items on our agenda page are 2 future meeting topics, harvest and VRT service update in November, and ACHD bike and pedestrian treatment. Do you have any comments about either one of those, Ms. Carson?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, commissioners, that's all we have. Do you have anything? Okay, with that, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of the day and week. Take care.
Thank you.